Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I look around this room and I see so many friends, family members, and colleagues. And when I think about Source, we all know that old saying that it takes a village to raise a child. And each of you is a part of our village. Now, we've watched Source, my very first baby, before Max and Sam come along. Source grew from infancy, and now we're 10 years old, an entire decade later. We've become a successful model of academic community partnerships, and we're frequently contacted by other universities, locally, throughout Maryland and DC, across the country, and even internationally as we work with colleagues in Australia. We couldn't have accomplished all that we have done so far without each and every single one of you, from the president, provosts, deans, faculty, staff, students, our alums, and our beloved community partners. A decade of service, all focused on Baltimore City. And tonight we do something that we rarely get to do at Source. We get to throw a big party. In this beautiful space here at the Living Classrooms Foundation, which is one of our community partners, I want to thank James Piper Bond, the president and CEO of the Living Classrooms Foundation, for hosting us here tonight. James, I see you somewhere around here. There you go. Thanks, James. As well as his entire team, including Rebecca Lynn Meyer, who serves along with Source as one of our community fellows. I also want to thank each of our schools for funding this event, allowing us this opportunity to have a party. I want to thank our governing board, community council, and planning committee for helping to put this event together. Now, throughout the night, I'm going to be sharing more details with you, but I really need to start to bring up our speakers. So let me first introduce our first speaker, who is President Ron Daniels. He is the 14th president of Hopkins. He's focused his leadership on several themes, and I'm most pleased that this includes community engagement and broadening community partnerships. Ron is a true friend to Source. He provided 3 years of funding to develop some of our signature service learning programs, our Source Service Scholars and our Source Service Learning Faculty and Community Fellows program. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to welcome our friend, President Ron Daniels.
Well, good evening. It's really great to be here and on such an important, auspicious occasion. Mindy, you're tremendous. You know, when you think about these institutions, these programs that somehow evolved and flourished and have gathered so much recognition, have had such a significant impact, I think at times it's easy to overlook that at the start, it's very often just an individual with a glimmer of an idea, someone who are really against the odds, has worked doggedly against the odds to really get support, encouragement, enthusiasm for that idea, and then to see it grow. And I just want, on behalf of all of us, before we go any further, just to salute you, to say, we are so lucky you're here. You are such a spectacular leader. And when we celebrate Source, we celebrate a lot of people, but at core, we celebrate your mom. So, over the last decade, I've been told that more than 7,600 students have contributed 205,000 hours of volunteer service to Baltimore organizations through Source. And if you were to just express that in terms of what one person working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week would be doing if they did all of that, it would mean that individual would be working for 23 years of uninterrupted service, kind of a lot like what you've been doing for the last 10, Mindy. It is, as I said, an extraordinary feat that has made a tremendous difference to our city and to our students. You will know, of course, that we have been talking, as Mindy said a moment ago, all of us for a long time, and I have to say, particularly with this group, I know you haven't been just talking, you've been doing for a long time lots of different community engagement efforts for decades. It's very much in the DNA of this institution. But again, what's really nice for all the things we do to have this focal point in East Baltimore for our community engagement activities. 10 years after its founding, Source stands as a key expression of our commitment to communities, tying together 3 Hopkins divisions, our schools of medicine, nursing, and public health, and creating direct links to the communities and community-based organizations, around us. And of course, our commitment to communities is not only institutional, it is also intensely, intensely personal. And it's here SOURCE once again stands as an exemplar, opening opportunities that have the potential to change the trajectories of people's lives within our city and indeed within our university. I really want to salute you, Mindy, for being an early and sometimes, again, quite lonely advocate for the value of service learning, thinking about how we can put academic knowledge to practical use. We often talk about the university as a great source of ideas, of energies, of moral intuitions, of data, all these things, but it's nice to be able to have very tangible ways of showing how we apply that. And again, SOURCE stands as the exemplar of that. Over the last 3 years alone, Mindy and her team have helped to train 22 faculty fellows, 7 community fellows through the Service Learning Faculty and Community Fellows Program. These fellows teach at least a dozen courses in East Baltimore each year, focused on a range of topics from data analysis to injury prevention. And there's really a ripple effect to these programs. Through these courses, students work with the community under faculty supervision, helping to meet the higher level needs of community-based organizations. And in many cases, that rigorous hands-on experience helps students focus their future careers. So as much as we celebrate what the students do and have done while they've been here, I think it's just as important what they do afterwards, and again, how SOURCE will change trajectories, not just of the community organizations, but of the students themselves who participate. I just want to finally say, in so many ways, what you have done here, as tremendous as it is, has been so important for the university because it has opened up possibilities, models, pilots that we have shamelessly used through other parts of the university. There's nothing like ripping off a really good idea when it involves a community and trotting it out to all different parts of the university. Indeed, even at SAIS in Washington, they've been really intrigued by Mindy's project and have sought to adopt some of the techniques into their program. So this is wonderful. I want to thank all of you for being here, the 100+ community partners who have worked with us, who have allowed us to work with you, to learn from you, and to make our community better. This is just a perfect partnership. We are so very, very proud of all that we have been able to do together. And again, to Mindy, thank you so much for your leadership. With that, I want to introduce a very special guest. And here I am delighted that the 49th mayor of Baltimore, Stephanie Rawlings Blake, who has been mayor for almost exactly half of SOURCE life and has served on city council for the other half, is here with us this evening. I just want to say something about Stephanie, because this is what's really great about our mayor. First of all, that she's here. Her schedule is unbelievably busy. We know we have very challenging times in our city right now. And it really says something, Stephanie, about your leadership, that with all that you've got going on, you still keep it all in balance and you bring that unflappable grace and perspective to your leadership. We really feel touched that you're with us this evening. I want to say something also about just the partnership that the city has forged with Hopkins in so many different areas. And the nice thing about Stephanie is that as all the years I've been here, whenever you've got an idea, you want to do something with the community, you want to do something with the city, no matter how crazy it may be, you phone Stephanie and you've always got a receptive audience and you've got a partner. It's been really one of my great fortunes that as I get to lead Johns Hopkins, I get to work with you as mayor, and really pleased, Stephanie, that you're with us this evening. Thank you so much. Stephanie Rawlings Blake.
President Daniels, am I keeping your pen? Okay, I thought I was keeping your pen. Thank you so much for your very, very kind remarks, and for all that you do for Hopkins. And Mindy, congratulations on getting SOURCE to this incredibly auspicious 10th anniversary. And I'll just say simply what the success of SOURCE is in alignment with, I think, the success of Hopkins at this time under the leadership of President Daniels, sorry. Everybody's a doctor at Hopkins. Yeah. For President Daniels, I will say that, and I've often said to anyone who listened, when I first met President Daniels, he was very clear that he wanted Hopkins to be of the community. And I think the success of SOURCE is that we have seen very clearly over the last 10 years, Hopkins tapped into that spirit that students at the School of Nursing, the School of Medicine, the School of Public Health, you don't pick those fields unless you have a spirit of service. And SOURCE tapped into that spirit in the same way that Hopkins attacks everything, with a dedication to excellence and getting it right, and has created a program that I believe speaks volumes about what's possible in Baltimore. We have the best and the brightest from around the world giving the best of themselves in partnership with Baltimore's community. And if this is what you've done in the first 10 years, I am thoroughly excited about what's possible for the years to come. And with that, and with my gratitude, I have a declaration designating April 23rd, 2014 as Johns Hopkins University SOURCE Day in celebration of the 10th anniversary. Whereas Johns Hopkins University SOURCE, Student Outreach Resource Center, was founded in 2005 by 3 schools on the Hopkins Medical Institution campus, medicine, nursing, and the Bloomberg School of Public Health. And whereas they wanted to create one centralized, interdisciplinary community service and service learning center in order to coordinate the community engagement activities of the 3 schools while reducing unnecessary duplication, you know I like that, and services. Whereas SOURCE provides academic, professional, and personal development opportunities for members of the 3 schools through community outreach and service learning partnerships with community-based organizations. And whereas the people of Baltimore congratulate SOURCE for their 10 years of being a vital component of student affairs in all 3 schools. Congratulations and happy anniversary. Thank you so much. Congrats.
I should just say one thing before the mayor leaves, and she has another engagement that she has to go to, but one of the other indulgences she did is what she told me, that she was going to present this proclamation and make this SOURCE Day in the city. I thought it was really important that we do this at the end of the day. Otherwise, I fear that the employee base may think this isn't a paid day off. So again, thank you for your support. No, it's not tomorrow, Mayor. It's not tomorrow. Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you to the mayor and to the president to continue to be partners with us in the work that we're doing. So many of you know about our special university, made up of several different divisions, and SOURCE supports 3 of those divisions. You know them: medicine, nursing, and public health. And we're privileged that we're actually supported by each school. And tonight, we have remarks from leaders from each of the 3 schools, which is really special. So first, from the School of Nursing, I'm going to invite up the dean of the Hopkins School of Nursing, one of our favorite people to tweet with. Please welcome Dr. Patricia Davidson. Trish.
Well, it's my great honour to follow President Daniels and our Mayor, just to provide some brief remarks from the School of Nursing. Firstly, happy 10th birthday to SOURCE. And the School of Nursing is an enthusiastic partner in this wonderful opportunity for service learning. Over the last 10 years, over 750 nursing students have worked in 45 NGOs and community settings, providing over 32,000 hours of community service. And not only have they contributed to our community, but those experiences have also enriched them and set their career path. I love seeing the images on the screen and recognised many faculty and students, and it can see how that experience has been pivotal in setting their career trajectory. So apart from doing all those wonderful things for the community and the students, it's also a great opportunity to work collaboratively, cohesively and productively with our partners on the East Baltimore campus, the School of Public Health and the School of Medicine. It's truly a unique setting. As they say in real estate, location is everything, and to have these three leading schools, not just academically, but in research, but also in a commitment to improving healthcare for the community, is truly an exceptional opportunity for our students. So again, thank you, Mindy. We all know what great work happens behind the scenes. I'd also like to thank our faculty and staff members in the School of Nursing, particularly Dean Griffin, who I know is on the board and has worked very hard to make tonight happen. So enjoy the evening, and it's a fabulous achievement. Thank you.
Okay, so next is from the School of Medicine. We have the Assistant Dean of Student Affairs, who is also a member of our SOURCE governing board and has been running the Harriet Lane Clinic. Please welcome Dr. Barry Solomon, another wonderful friend, Barry.
Thank you, Mindy. So congratulations to you, to Elizabeth, Shane, and Vanessa for this incredible achievement. Thank you for 10 years of dedication to the Baltimore community and to teaching and caring for our students at Hopkins. And I'm speaking on behalf of Roy Ziegelstein, the Vice Dean for Education, Paul Rothman, the Dean of the Medical School, as well as colleagues in the Office of Student Affairs and the Office of Diversity, and then for Mike Barone, who was the former governing board member before I joined Student Affairs last year. So a couple days ago, I heard on NPR that this week also marks an anniversary. It's the 20-year anniversary of another very well-known organization, and that's Match.com. So I was thinking about what I would say here, and I couldn't help but think about the parallels between Source and Match.com. You're laughing, but there are many. So Source does an incredible job finding the right fit, the exact fit for students who are interested in engaging with the community and with community-based organizations. True. Like those who enroll with Match.com, SOURCE seeks a long-term commitment to community-based organizations from them, from their partners, from students, and from faculty. And then a third, I had a hard time figuring out, but this is a really beautiful celebration. I imagine there are strangers in this room that may see each other and find happiness and walk off together like Match.com. So there you have it. No. So on a serious note, I know what SOURCE stands for, but I came up with sort of what I think SOURCE could stand for as well. So S for student-centered. More than any other program I've seen, and I've been at Hopkins for 16 years now, and I can't think of another organization that really thinks about students' interests, their goals, their ideas, brings them forward, really engages them than SOURCE. So a very learner-centered program, more than I can think of. The O is for outstanding commitment, right? So the outstanding commitment and contributions that you've made to improving the lives of residents in Baltimore City. The U is for the unwavering dedication to teaching, empowering, and enabling our students to participate in service learning, to reflect on their experiences and process what they've learned. The R is for reach. So you can see the reach in this room, but the incredible reach and the thousands of students that you've touched and where they are now, right? So they're all across the country, they're all across the world in healthcare-related fields, and they now have a deeper passion and maybe more importantly, the skills to engage with their communities because of the work that SOURCE has done with them. The E is, the last is for example, and you've set an example and a very high standard for our medical students in the School of Medicine. Many of them come to Hopkins having participated in community activities, maybe starting organizations themselves, but your team has set the example for what it means to be a true collaborator, a true partner, and a team member. So for all of these reasons, thank you for doing what you do to all of you, and I can't wait to see what the next 10 years happens. And good night.
Thank you, Barry. And from Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, We have a professor in environmental health sciences who is the former Senior Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, which is noteworthy because in his role at that time, he was instrumental in helping to start SOURCE. So please welcome Dr. Jim Yeager. Jim?
Well, it's a real pleasure to be here and to congratulate SOURCE on 10 years on behalf of the School of Public Health. As Mindy said, I was the Senior Associate Dean for Academic Affairs for 13 years, from 2000 to 2013. I came to Hopkins in 1989, and for various reasons I got engaged at the administrative level in the school and took the school through a couple of its strategic planning processes. And all the time I saw in the strategic plan the desire to engage more deeply in the community. So then, after I became the senior academic dean, it was in either 2000 or 2001 with the incoming class. In September, I was sitting at the orientation, and one of our faculty members stood up and talked about this program called Interaction. And he gave some description of Interaction and that it was trying to work to connect students in the School of Public Health to community organizations and opportunities for volunteering within the community. And at the end of his presentation, there was a break, and there was this just huge line of students who stood up there and, waiting to talk to him about opportunity for working in the community. And so I went back to my office, and the Associate Dean for Public Health Training, Bob Lawrence, was there, and I started talking to him. I said, Bob, I didn't really even know about Interaction. It was such a small group. I said, maybe we can do something about getting some resources so they can hire a full-time person to begin to grow our interactions with the community. And so we were able to do that. From his budget and my budget, we were able to hire the first director of Interaction, and she stayed for about a year and a half, I think, and went on to graduate school, and she really got things going. And then she left, and we were able to recruit Mindy. And you can see what others have said, and you all know the accomplishments of SOURCE. So Mindy was there and then began SOURCE in 2005. And it's just been spectacular in its accomplishments. And I'll tell you just one more little story. So we just underwent our reaccreditation by the Council on Education and Public Health. It's something we have to do every 7 years. And so the site team left yesterday. And at the readout of their decisions, that we did very well. We had no actionable items. We got through all of their criteria, which is a wonderful accomplishment for us. We've done it twice in a row now. The site visitors said, there were some areas where all we could say is met. You met that particular criterion, but we would like to have said super met. And another site visitor, Dean at Minnesota, he said, yeah, met with drooling. And there were 2 areas, and one of which was SOURCE. And so we describe SOURCE in our self-study, but at a site visit, reading something on paper doesn't really, it's hard to see how it lives, how it's organic. And in that session, Mindy described SOURCE, faculty talked about SOURCE, it's built we also got met with our practicum. And, it's largely because of SOURCE. And so, again, congratulations on the 10th, and we look forward to continuing on this fantastic journey that you've been leading, Mindy.
All right, so we're going to kind of continue to move along. Feel free to grab food and drinks, because we've got a couple more people to speak. But one of the things I want to do real quickly, speaking of Match.com, one thing that we aim to do with SOURCE is always to build community. So to model that here tonight, we like to ask each of you right now, take a moment, introduce yourself to someone that you have not met before, and say hello. Go sit down. Go sit down. Yep. All right. I hope everybody made a new friend. But I need you all back looking at me again. Thank you. Thank you. So what I would like to do now that you all have new friends, hey. All right, so friendships on hold, back to source. What I want to do is point out some of the incredible things that we have here tonight for our 10-year celebration. So out there in the other room, we have a whole bunch of postcards. There's actually some on the tables in here as well. And what we're asking you to do is take a moment to reflect about Source and write down a couple of words about the impact that Source has had on you, Hopkins, or the community. And we've been hanging those postcards along the windows and in the other room, so please join us in doing some reflection. You'll also notice out in the other room that we have a timeline of the last decade that features key milestones of things that Source has done throughout the years, so I'll encourage you to take a look at that timeline. I also want to point out the centerpieces that we have in the room. All of the centerpieces were provided by community partners. 901 Arts, Art with a Heart, Blue Water Baltimore, Jubilee Arts, which is a part of Newborn Holistic Ministries. So again, we're trying to bring in the community theme, and we thank you for having those centerpieces here today. You'll also notice out in the other room an infographic, which is also on the back of your programs, which includes the impact that our programming has had. So we encourage you to take a look at those numbers. We also have a guest book in the other room, which is a photo book of wonderful pictures, many of them that are up here as well. So please take a moment to sign in our photo booth. Over there in that corner, you see a quilt against that wall. This is a source quilt of many of our past t-shirts from Days of Service. And it was made by our associate director, Elizabeth Dorr. Her mother made that for us. Her mom, but we love her mom. We also have a photo booth out in the other room, and we encourage you to have fun taking some pictures in the photo booth using some of our hashtags that we have, hashtag Source Impact and hashtag Source 10-year. And the next thing I want to do, we have a short video that we want to play. And hopefully, Shane, we good? We're good to go in the back? Okay, so we're going to play a quick Source video that was put together by one of our students, Julia Langer in the School of Public Health, and I'm going to let him press play.
Source came along in terms of originally being what was called Interaction.
And basically what that was a community service center for the students to go out and volunteer with about 30 different organizations throughout Baltimore City. I started having medical students and nursing students just showing up at my door and saying, we don't have any other staff member within our schools that are helping us do this work, and we're hearing from public health students that that's what you're doing. Can we work with you? And community partners were saying, can't we just have one place to call to get volunteers from these 3 schools that are located side by side at Johns Hopkins?
What students were doing was being perceived as being done by Hopkins, but wasn't being coordinated at all across the 3 institutions.
And so the idea was, should we have some type of tri-school center that would work together? And that's really where the idea of Source came from.
I remember those initial discussions, and I still remember when we came up with the acronym SOURCE, and it was just an immediate, like, that's it. We all know it was it, and it was the perfect way to summarize what it was we were all doing.
Mindy really worked very hard to bring the deans of the 3 institutions together and agree to co-fund and co-localize this organization called Source.
And then it evolved into the incredible Source that it is today.
We work to respond to community identified needs. So not only is this a learning experience for students, but there's mutual benefit.
One of the things that Source really tries to do is to ask, what are the needs of the students, what are the needs of the faculty, and what are the needs of the community-based organizations in Baltimore City?
So being a community fellow has allowed me to speak with professors from all 3 schools, figure out what their student needs are, and create opportunities for service learning for those students. There's a lot of levels of positive interaction that goes on.
Hopkins is an organization with so many heads and so large, and it's often difficult or confusing in terms of how a CBO can connect with Hopkins, but SOURCE makes it very easy.
SOURCE is one of the ways that the citizens of Baltimore and the organizations that serve the citizens in Baltimore to get access to the resources that are available at Hopkins.
It's not something that you have to think highbrow of, and it's not something that you have to prepare for, that the equalness of what the community partner brings to what I bring as a faculty member, to what the students are bringing as labor, if you will, because it moves in sort of this management partnership, are all equal.
If SOURCE hadn't been sort of the conduit for communication, I don't think this partnership would have ever been formed, but it took SOURCE to create that space for that to happen.
Had I not stumbled upon SOURCE, I would just be dragging along.
There's a lot of relationship buildings that have happened through SOURCE.
It's been, enriching from an academic and professional standpoint, but I think so much more has been out of the relationships that I've built.
What I enjoy most is just the camaraderie among students and to see the connection students feel to the community at large.
It's amazing to see young people who are that dedicated to serving. Every single part of my organization can benefit from a student and can provide a student a service learning opportunity.
I think that our education at Hopkins is not just about what we learn in the classroom.
It's critically important that they apply that knowledge and those skills to actual problems and actual issues.
So what SOURCE has done is really given me the opportunity to see how my work at Hopkins can be applied in a different setting.
Being able to be engaged through SOURCE with that community has taught me a lot about the issues and priorities facing those communities and those whom we purport to serve.
And SOURCE has also played a very instrumental role in the direction that I have chosen to go, both professionally and academically. And the lessons that I've learned will affect me for the rest of my life.
So I think the other key piece to this whole experience is the SOURCE staff.
They have been wonderful mentors to me, and they are an amazing resource to both the academic side and the community side.
It's faculty, it's the SOURCE staff, and it's the community all working and laughing together.
Mindy and the team and the number of conversations that we've had, the number of one-on-ones, the number of ways that we're friends, we're colleagues, we're champions of this work together, and that's invaluable and irreplaceable.
I've been in many different community groups and different organizations, and as soon as I mention that I work with SOURCE, they know Mindy, they know Elizabeth, they like them, they want to work with them, they want to work with the students, and I think those are the things that help make Hopkins a better place.
Where now when people think of Hopkins, right, they're thinking of SOURCE.
Just wanted to give a big shout out to Vanessa, Shane, Elizabeth, and Mindy.
Happy anniversary. Thank you so much for giving students like me an opportunity to get involved in service learning.
I just want to say thank you for all you do to strengthen the community of Baltimore and to make Hopkins an even better place to be a part of.
I want to thank SOURCE not only for what it's done for students and faculty at Johns Hopkins, but also for all the organizations and really the people in the Baltimore area who have been helped tremendously.
I just want to say thanks to the entire SOURCE team. You guys have been wonderful.
Because every time I come by the office, it's like a touchstone for remembering what it means to believe in fighting for social justice. Thanks for everything.
Positive attitude and everyone at SOURCE who's making the world a better place by getting everyone more engaged. Happy 10th anniversary, SOURCE.
I just wanted to say thank you to SOURCE, and we're especially grateful that you gave us an opportunity to work with the community.
Just want to say thank you so much for all that you've done. Service learning would not have been the same for our education without you.
So thank you so much for everything you've done for me and for our community.
I really appreciate all your hard work. In all seriousness, thank you so much for introducing me to a whole other side of Baltimore that I never would have seen without you. And here's to another 10 more years.
Thanks for making SOURCE less like a workplace
and more like a family.
Shane, you rock.
Thanks for making Baltimore and Hopkins awesome.
Thanks for keeping our passions alive, Source.
Thank you.
Thank you for all that you have done for all of our students and for residents of Baltimore City.
Hey Source fam, I want to express my deep appreciation for what you guys offer.
But I find everything you do incredibly inspiring, and I hope to be a member here for a lot longer. So thanks so much. Happy 10-year anniversary.
Thank you, Mindy, and everyone at Source for making East Baltimore a part of our Hopkins experience.
This is from the School of Nursing, from the Student House. We're so proud of you. Thank you so much for all that you do for our students, both in and out of the classroom. You rock. We love you. Congratulations.
Thank you from all the students and from all the faculty that you guys have tremendously touched in the community. You guys have been amazing. So that was a video put together by Katie and Julia, two of our student governing board members. They did an amazing job. We also had several trees planted with Blue Water Baltimore in honor of Source and in honor of the 10-year anniversary. So thank you from all of us.
Well, you got us there. Thank you. Okay, so there are just a couple more people to speak, and we're going to have some fun soon. So there are several primary groups that we work with, which includes faculty, students, and community partners, and we're honored to have representatives from each of those categories here with us tonight. So first, to represent the faculty members from the School of Public Health in the Department of Health, Behavior, and Society, one of our senior service learning faculty fellows who teaches a service learning course, which is Program Planning for Health Behavior Change, Dr. Vanya Jones. She's my person. Vanya? You're my person.
I feel like it should just be over after that. This is so unfair to have someone come up. So my experience with Source started about 8 years ago when I had students in a very large class who wanted to go out and do good work in Baltimore, and it went horribly wrong, and there were students in my office crying. And so from that moment, I thought, I'm really not sure what to do. And I went to Mindy's office and said, I really need some help. I need you to help me figure out how do we, if students want to go out in the community, how do we help them? What's the process by which to do this? Because I'm standing in front of a lecture teaching theory and boxes and arrows, and that's all wonderful, but they want to try and figure out how they use that in the real world. And so for a few years, Mindy met with me before my class, and we went through how we could do this. And then one year she came to me and said, Vanya, we're going to start this program for faculty called the Service Learning Fellows, and I think you'd be good at it just because, in part, you'd stop showing up at my office periodically and say, help me, because my students want to go out and do work. And so, I thought that was just a really great sort of story to show how Source has sort of grown and thought of as a resource for faculty. So in thinking about faculty and the role of faculty, we kind of have three parts to our job. The first is teaching. And what Source has really done for me in teaching my class, and Mindy, my person, who I showed up on her doorstep asking for help, has done for me is to take the boxes and arrows and the theory that I teach in class and to help students figure out how to use that. But more importantly, help them dig deep and think about what they're bringing to the table when they do that type of work, which is a completely different process. How do you decide if your opinions and your way of looking at the world is what's hindering the good work that you're trying to do? How do you assess that? How do you give that feedback back to students? That's what the Service Learning Scholars has done for me, and that's what Source has helped me look at as a faculty member who has to teach and has to teach effectively of workforce that's brilliant and wonderful but wants to go out and do great work. The second thing that we have to do as faculty is research. I am a researcher, and that's how I look at my world, and I think about the questions that I can answer every day. And when I meet with Mindy and I think about the organizations that I want to work with and go out to, the one thing that she presented back to me and said, what do you leave for them? So you're going to get some publications, and that's wonderful, and you're going to represent the big, bad Johns Hopkins out in the world, and that's fantastic. But back here in Baltimore, we have an interesting story here at Hopkins, and we want to make sure we leave something, and we leave our communities better off, because believe it or not, we are neighbors. And we're either going to be really good neighbors, or we're going to be not so good neighbors. So how do we be really good neighbors and help the relationship be symbiotic? And then the third thing that we have to do is service. And what Mindy has really helped me do, and this is the one of the things that started this year, or 2 years ago, I guess, is the service, the community fellows. And so I've gotten to work with some community members that I would have never have met through organizations that are doing some amazing work, but I've gotten to hear their perspective. So when we send students out, what is it that they're looking for? How do they want to be a part of our institution? Talk about that neighborhood. We never talk about how does the community come into Hopkins and work with us directly. So they've been able to help me with my service and provide me with an opportunity. The very first organization that I chose to serve on a board of is an organization that's a Source organization, because they sort of understood, and they came to me and said, you know, we think the work that you're doing is wonderful, and we think this relationship that Source has brought us together is one that can last a very long time. So Mindy, my person, you have helped my career, you have helped my students, and I really hope that those of you who are interested in being a part of this community, of network of people, really come forward. And there's a lot of ambassadors in the room that I'm sure will happily bring you on. But Source has been great, and I think what they're doing is really making Hopkins be aware of our relationship to the community and become a much better neighbor, which I think we all aspire to.
Okay, so next, representing the students, a fourth-year medical student that's about to graduate, and she has been with Source literally since her very first day of med school. She's also been a Source Service Scholar from the School of Medicine, Kate Neal.
Hi. So 4 years ago this month, I came to Baltimore for the second time in my life to be part of the Accepted Students Weekend here at Hopkins. And I did a couple of these weekends at various medical schools around the country. And everywhere I went, I found students and faculty who were very nice. I found people who were doing great research and really neat things going on. But I really didn't know where I wanted to go for medical school. And there was a moment during that Accepted Students Weekend when I happened to find myself in an activity led by Source. It was a 1-hour session where we met some of the Source staff and some of the students who were involved with Source, and I thought, this is it. That, for me, demonstrated to me that Hopkins was a place where I could really be part of my community, where I could be a medical student, get a great education, but where I could also get to know other folks who were doing the same kind of work that I was interested in doing, where I could learn how to combine my background in nonprofit management, also learn how to work with government, and also combine that with my passion for medicine. So I decided to come to Hopkins, all because of Source. And I'd like to think that I kind of was able to envision an event like this where we're all coming together from all of our different places in honor of this idea of service learning. But really, I just got pretty lucky. And so when I landed at Hopkins a couple of weeks later, I found myself in the healthcare disparities class that's facilitated by Source. It's our very first class of medical school, and they get us immediately out into the community doing service projects. We learn about Baltimore. We learn to understand the relationship between Hopkins and Baltimore, and I thought that I was pretty sure that I had made the right decision. But it wasn't until a few months later where I really got involved with Source and was able to meet students from the School of Nursing and the School of Public Health, my like-minded folks at the School of Medicine, and the faculty and community members who all share that same vision, that I was absolutely positive that I had made the right choice. The past 4 years here in Baltimore have been really amazing. It's so hard to leave, in part and mainly because of Source. Source has really become my home. It's where I always know I can count on meeting students and faculty and community members who have the same values that I have, which can be a little hard sometimes in the Hopkins conglomerate, as you might imagine. There's so much amazing work being done by the folks in this room, by the folks who are affiliated with Hopkins and who are affiliated with Source generally. And I just really want to say a big thank you. I think it's really easy for students to focus on their academics and their research. Those are the things that are right in front of us and that take up so much of our time. And through Source, I've been able to focus on that other part of me, which is the part that it's part of my community, that's part of really helping others. And it's the part that I love the most about who I am and the physician that I hope to become. So a huge thank you to Source for helping all of us to focus on that third element that's going to make us really wonderful health providers. So thank you.
Okay, so one more speaker, and then I have some other things to do, and then we'll be done, and then we can party, okay? So, from our community partners, as you've heard, we have about 100 different nonprofits that we work with, and on behalf of the community partners, I'd like to invite the founder and CEO of the Light Up Truth Center, who is also a member of Source's Community Council, Vail Leonard.
Good evening, everyone. Happy anniversary. I am so humbled and so honored to be here this evening. At a time when things are changing politically, socially, and economically, nonprofits are called on to address an array of issues. And for many of us, we are driven by a dream, by a vision, and by our passion. And sometimes the economic stability of the organization, the money that we need, the resources that we need, the people that we need often aren't available to us. And that's where Source steps in. For me personally, I have been blessed to have students who have so embraced the vision that they were able to finish the end of a sentence. So impassioned that they showed up time and time again and treated our women with respect and with honor. For us, quite often the students became the light at the end of the tunnel. Many of you have been the in the aha moment. You have been the bridge over troubled waters. You have made the difference so that we can roll up our sleeves and stay focused on what's important, to serve, to uplift, to encourage, and to honor this society, this group of people in Baltimore who need us so desperately. But more than that, the students have become the balm, the healing balm in the community between Hopkins and so many of us. So many times, Hopkins seems so huge and so large, and the students give Hopkins a face, give Hopkins a heart. You've heard it before. What you have created here is a model, not just for Baltimore, but for around this country. You have created something special. You have been able to harness the gifts, the talents, and the enthusiasm of the students. And that has transcended into making a difference in someone's life, giving them hope, and making a way out of no way. Thank you for all that you have done. I believe that what you do here is changing the footprint in Baltimore City, not just on the east side, but in all of Baltimore, because the change, the model of service, of helping, of stepping forward and lending a helping hand makes all the difference in the world. Thank you for all you do, and continued success to you.
Thank you, Vail. So Vanya, remember you said I don't like to follow the video. Well, I have to follow Vail Leonard. So, a couple things I wanted to share.
Tonight's celebration is all about the academic and community partnerships that have been formed throughout the past decade, all of which are special to Source. I do have a few people that I'd like to recognize for their efforts throughout the years. I particularly want to thank and appreciate two people who have been with Source since the very beginning. First, I want to recognize Dr. Lainey Rucko, who is faculty in the School of Public Health in the Department of Health Policy and Management. Lainey has been a longtime supporter of Source and continues to serve on our governing board. Because of her involvement and commitment to Source, we've been able to co-author several peer-reviewed journal articles, including one about the history and infrastructure of Source, and another about the Connection Community Consultants Program, a program which she helped to build. The Connection is a short-term, small-team community consultants program which responds to community requests. Details about the Connection are included in your programs, but I'd like to highlight that we've completed 77 projects with 60 different community partners. Next, I need to recognize Glenn Ross, our Source community consultant. Glenn is a community leader and activist here in East Baltimore who has been an instrumental part of Source since the very beginning. Glenn speaks to new students during orientations to introduce them to Baltimore. He has served on numerous panels about Baltimore, health issues, and environmental racism. He is perhaps most well known for serving as the tour guide for our Source East Baltimore community tours. In the past 10 years, Glenn has conducted 81 Source tours for over 2,500 students. We collect evaluations from these tours, and students walk away feeling more likely to become involved in Baltimore and inspired by the resiliency of our community members. His involvement has surely helped to increase student participation here in Baltimore.
Of course, we are so excited to be sharing this evening with all of you, and my heart is full with love and appreciation that you all have been here, been a part of Source, and taken the time to be with us here tonight. I'm delighted that we have past staff members here in the room. Noah Smock and Alicia Tatum are here. I have governing board members that have graduated and are still here, and you have all participated in building Source. Now, people often hear me talk about Source and call it the little shop that could. And then people are astonished when they learn what we've accomplished with such a small staff, serving 3 separate schools with 3 separate personalities, more than 100 community partners, and we're doing that on really a shoestring programming budget, for real. It takes all of our combined efforts to make all the magic happen. So I want you to join me in recognizing all of our amazing team members. So governing board members and community council members, please raise your hand so we can recognize you and thank you for all of your work. All of the governing board members and all the community council members, they're listed in the program. They all have ribbons on their name tags. For all of our community partners in the room, please raise your hand and be recognized for our community partners. It is our honor to serve you and to collaborate on initiatives that are working to improve the health of the city of Baltimore. For the planning committee members that helped put us on this event tonight, please raise your hands. That's Julia, Polani, Tracy, Katie, Keetra, Jean, Bailey. But above all, I need to recognize my true partners in crime, the full-time staff at Source. Come up here, Elizabeth Dorr, the best associate director ever. Shane Bryant, our assistant director, who rocks. Vanessa Pinkney, our administrative coordinator that keeps it all together. I love working with you guys. I feel incredibly lucky to be able to spend my days doing the work that we do and doing it together with you guys. You guys are awesome sauce. We love you. I'll say it over and over again. We cannot do the work we do without all of your support. I want to take a moment to recognize some of my biggest supporters, my parents, my brother, my children who you've seen all night. My husband, Brad, I thank you all so much. Every single one of you was invited here tonight because of the impact that you've had on Source. And we want to sincerely thank you for adding so much value to the work that we do. Now, enough of all this sappy stuff. It is time to party. And in doing that, I am thrilled to introduce you to all a band that was built just for Source. Okay? So this band includes members of Be More Funk, which is a funk jazz motel band that includes students from the Hopkins Schools of Medicine and School of Public Health. All their names are in the program. I have to do my added shout out to Corey and Tracy because they're on our governing board and we love you guys. Then we have members of Harmonic Blue, which is a Baltimore-based jazz alternative band who performed their original music across the country. And then awesome Todd Marcus, who is the executive director of Newborn Holistic Ministries, which is one of our community partners. So my son Sam has been asking, are we gonna party? So can we do that now, please? I turn it to the band.